Hi, this is Miss Wright, and I am going to go over the personification of death in Romeo and Juliet. And this is a picture that felt very gothic, felt very appropriate for some reason. Okay, so in Act 4, Scene 5, Lord Capulet actually is the one who starts talking about death as though it is another character in the play. And there might be references before this, but this was the first one that I thought of. So he says, ready to go, but never to return. They found Juliet's body, strewn across her bed, and she's taken the sleeping potion, which makes her appear to be dead. So the whole family is grieving over her apparent suicide. And he says, ready to go, but never to return. O son, the night before thy wedding day, he's talking to Paris, have death lain with thy wife, which is so odd to say, that death has slept with the woman you are about to marry. Here she lies, flower as she was, deflowered by him. So if you really didn't get it in this line, he makes it even more explicit, because to deflower a woman is to take her virginity. She's no longer a virgin. So he's talking about his daughter in very sexual terms, and he's talking about his daughter in sexual terms almost in a sense of necrophilia, that she has slept with death itself. Death is my son-in-law. Death is my heir. And we must always remember that the death of Juliet also means the end of his family line, because she is his last surviving child. He told us that earlier in the play, that he had other children, but she is the only one that he has left that would maybe bring forth children and grandchildren, and carrying on the family line. So when he says death is my heir, it reminds us that his family line has now just come to a crashing halt. My daughter he hath wedded. I will die, he says, I will die and leave him all. So when Lord Capulet dies, everything dies with him. Life, living, all is death. And you see that's an apostrophe S, meaning that death has or will have everything. Capitalize that D, because now death is like a man who's come, stolen Juliet's virginity, taken her away from her father, and that she will no more bring forth children. There's no more hope of carrying on his family through this young lady. Okay? It's a big deal. So I have Shakespeare has Romeo continue the idea of death as a rival lover in Act 5. So he perpetuates this concept in Act 5, Scene 3, when he says, Romeo says, how oft when men are at the point of death have they been merry, which their keepers call a lightning before death. Oh, how may I call this a lightning? Oh, my love, my wife, death that has sucked the honey of thy breath, have had no power yet upon thy beauty. So now death is kind of like, almost like a monster or a vampire that sucked the life out of Juliet. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks, which is dramatic irony, because we know she's not dead yet, Romeo, but he is completely, marveling at the fact that she looks so lifelike, and that is because she's still alive. And death's pale flag is not advanced there. Now, this image here of death having a flag, when people would go into battle. There would be a flag carrier. I'm sure that's not the name for it. Someone who would bear the flag into battle. And it was actually a very courageous thing to do because you can't hold up the flag and also defend yourself. So you're almost like helpless. The people around you have to protect you. Um, for you to stay alive, but it was essential that the flag not touch the ground because for the flag to fall was a sign that the battle had been lost and gone on, won by the other side. So when it says that death's pale flag is not advanced, death hasn't been able to plant his flag fully in Juliet because she still has all signs of life. So death is trying to conquer her, but not has not prevailed yet. Tybalt, liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? Oh, what more favour can I do to thee than with that hand that cut thy youth in twain to sunder his that was thine enemy? Forgive me, cousin. And we know that's an apostrophe because he's dead. So Romeo's talking to a dead man, and that's called an apostrophe. I didn't get to put in my my literary terms, but and dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that the unsubstantial death is amorous? And amorous means that he's in love with you. He wants to be your lover. Okay? It continues, or Romeo continues by saying, and that the lean, abhorred monster keeps thee here in the dark to be his paramour. So a paramour is someone who is interested in a woman sexually. So this whole idea, this whole necrophilia of being um, in love with death, or death being in love with Juliet and wanting to have sex with her. The father started it in Act 4. Romeo continues it in Act 5. It's actually very weird. For fear of that, I still will stay with thee, and never from this place of dim night depart again. Here will I remain, with worms that are thy chambermaids. Great imagery. Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest, and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars. This idea of inauspicious stars began in the prologue. From this world-wearied flesh, eyes, look your last, arms, take your last embrace, and lips, O you, the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain of engrossing death. Ah, come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks, thy seasick, weary bark. There goes that ship imagery again, where Romeo sees himself as a little boat, except now a bark is a ship, a small ship. So Romeo sees the person or force that is in charge of his life, like a pilot, a ship's captain. And remember, we said it could be God, it could be fate. Now he's telling the ship's captain to crash the boat on the rocks because he's about to take this poison that he's brought with him. Um, Here's to my love. He drinks it as the way you would drink a glass of wine after you've made a toast. Here's to my love. And he drinks this poison that's 20 times stronger than any other poison. So when he talks about a deathless bargain to engrossing death, death that is all consuming. Well, I hope you can see here that Shakespeare, master of language that he is, it's not enough for um, him to have Romeo and Juliet die, but that he actually inserts death as another character, a rival for Juliet's um, beauty, a rival for Juliet's affection, first stealing her away from Paris, as Lord Capulet would talk, and then Romeo says, trying desperately to steal her away from him, but almost not prevailing. And that's the whole idea of Juliet appearing to be dead, but not really looking dead, still having such lifelike qualities about her. And we know that's dramatic irony because she is just sleeping and not dead. All right, well, that was my take on the personification of death in Romeo and Juliet. I'm sure there can be more examples. I am just trying to whet your appetite in thinking about it. So you might go back through the text and see if you can find more examples of death personified. I know that death is mentioned like almost 100 times in this play, so could be more. All right. To my students, you know, I think you are awesome. Here's my little buddy cheering for you. And I hope you have a great day. Hope this wasn't too long. And I will see you back in class. Bye-bye.